guys, welcome to the 30-day speaker summit. We have another guest on the public speaking day, which is Armin Shafee. Armin, how's it going today?
Good, man. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So to introduce myself again, my name is Daniel Francis. I'm the creator of the Master Your Stutter program. And in today's interview, we're going to be talking about mindset with Armin Shafee. And just to kind of give you a quick overview, Armin Shafee is the founder of highticketcoaching.com. He sold over $1 million of coaching by sharing his message to audiences through his voice. He's been featured in Yahoo Finance for his work with helping coaches build their online businesses during the pandemic, which is amazing. He's publicly spoken in multiple countries such as Malaysia, Thailand, and really all over North America, speaking to different audiences on mindset, belief, and conviction and confidence, of course. So Armin, one more time, welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So before we kind of get into it, Armin, is there anything that you kind of want to add? I know you have just a plethora of knowledge and guidance that you have, and I'm super excited to kind of pick your brain. So is there anything you kind of want to add into the audiences watching? You know, everyone here, their goal is to better their speech and their communication as a whole. And, you know, I know it's a gift and a talent for you. So is there anything you want to kind of throw right off the bat before we kind of get into the questions?
Yeah, well, first, give yourself some credit. If you're watching this right now, you invested your time, energy, money, effort, and commitment to learn how to improve yourself. The fact that you're here says something about you, something inside of you that says you could do more, be more, have more. And it's great. So I just want you to take a moment. It's not really something I need to put in you that you don't already know, more so bring out of you what you already do know, which is if you're here, you're serious about growth, about changing your life, about changing your business, and whatever it is that you're here for. So good for you, and giving you recognition and commending you for being here and just really investing the time to watch these interviews and go through the 30-day summit and learn how to grow yourself. So
love that. Thank you so much, Armin. So one of my first questions for you, and really the topic of conversation for this interview, is going to be about mindset. I know there's a lot of people out there, and you know, I know you agree with this. One of the biggest barriers that people have, especially public speaking, I believe it's the number one fear in the world, or it's definitely up there. And I know one of the biggest barriers to really getting on stage and just getting the ball rolling is mindset. And that's why I'm super excited to kind of talk to you about that. So in your words, Armin, what does mindset mean to you, and why is it important to master?
Well, if you're talking about speaking, having my fair share of experiences over the last 5 years, what I realized is that the frame of mind you walk into on a stage or in front of an audience with is going to determine the quality of the talk. It's going to determine the quality of the outcome. It's going to determine everything, essentially. And what I've learned is that when it comes to mindset, when it comes to thinking, your strategy of thought, what is your thought process about things? What's your belief system? What's your perspective? What's your view on things? That is completely the 100% controlling factor of how you experience and produce things in life. I remember reading a book called Biology of Belief. It's by Dr. Bruce Lipton. And he has an entire educational platform teaching people pretty much quantum physics and relating quantum physics to how on a cellular level, you completely control everything in your life, because on a cellular level, what you bring in, if you look at biology, when you bring in, when a cell brings in light from the outside, there's receptors in the cell that translate that light from the outside to something inside, and that's what creates the internal experience. So on a cellular level, he broke down biology to show us that pretty much the external environment and the receptors of a cell is what determines what goes inside. And he relates that to how the mind and the body and the person, a human, as a cell of its own, one whole human being completely controls their life, their quality, their production, what they do, the results, by what receptors, which is their perspective, their belief systems of their mind. What receptors, what is the receptors based off? So when that light or information or something happens in your life comes in, what does that receptor do in your mind and makes it inside? For example, two people could go through the same experience, have a different internal experience. Two people crash their car, one gets out, goes, oh my God, I almost died. The other one gets out and says, oh my God, I'm alive. Mm-hmm. They have completely two different experiences, but the same exact situation. And when you talk about this mindset, I don't want to overgeneralize it, because people think of a mindset and they go, oh, it's a positive thinking. No, it's not. It's your life. It is your life. What you say, what you speak, what you show up as, what you think, what you believe, what your content is, what comes out of you as a speaker, what comes into you as an audience of a speaker, it's all dependent on how you think. And so, my company's name is New Way Thinking Company. That's my registered corporation's name, New Way Thinking Company. I solemnly believe that if you change your thinking to a new way of thought that is different than what you've been used to your whole life, life could be different. It's a new life, right? So when it comes to mindset, what I'm trying to say is, before you speak, before you talk, before you do anything, if your mind isn't clear, if your mind isn't strong, if your mind isn't straightforward, it's going to come out wrong. It's going to come out bad. It's the same thing for everything in life. If your intentions and goals and your clarity and your thinking with your relationship isn't right, it's not going to work well. If business isn't right, it's not going to work well. With yourself, if it isn't right, we call that self-awareness. That's what personal development is. Self-improvement is learning about yourself. What's my strengths? What's my weaknesses? What's my values? What's my beliefs? What do I want? Do these things align? What's my goals? What's my vision? That's called being clear with yourself. If you can't do that with your mind, you will have a disharmony in your life and create friction. And then people have lives where they don't have things that they want. And then they start having that for so long, they think this is life. This is just how I am. But it's not. It's just how you've been. Doesn't mean it's how you can permanently be. So I hope that answers the question of like how important is mindset and like what is it really about? It's really your whole life. Mm-hmm. Jim Rohn said very nicely, work on yourself harder than you work on your job. And you'll always in your job work out. I reframed it in my mind to a different quote that's based on the same concept. I said, if I work on building me as a business owner in my business, in my life, and if I work on my mind, I'm saying my mind will build my business. If I work harder on my mind than I do on my business, my mind will build my business. And that's really how you should think. So mindset is everything, man.
Wow. That's amazing. That is phenomenal. And as a lot of people are watching, it's very evident that you are an amazing speaker and you know how to articulate and even be put on the spot. Like all these interviews are not scripted. This is, and a lot of people not like yourself, but a lot of people don't understand the value of speaking the way you do so effortlessly. And, my next question to that, Armin, is, especially when it comes to public speaking, it's evident that you're a great speaker and you're a great public speaker if you have this ability to be on stage, which I've seen you. But what is the mindset like, before I ask that question, were you born this way? Did you have to go through certain things in your life to become this articulate individual with a great vocabulary and a great way to be put on the spot? How did you become this way? And what was the mindset really getting there? And, did you have belief in yourself when you were younger? Did things change over time?
Yeah, good question. I was born this way, man. You can't develop this. I legitimately came out of the womb with a microphone in my hand. Of course not, man. I was not born this way, just like anyone isn't born anyway. We are born blank. Like this shirt, just raw, blank, nothing. It's clean slate. We naturally, people call it, develop tendencies and habits and talents based off our upbringing. Not the fact that nobody is more capably. There is obviously deformed that comes out. My compassion to that. Physically, you might be born differently. Okay. But if you're born not like that, there is nothing virtually mentally different than you and anyone else. So that means the playground is open to make yourself into anything you want to be. And the faster we realize that in life, the faster we get to mold our minds and ourselves and our personalities and our talents and our skills around what we want. So obviously I had to go through things. I had to want to do this stuff. I think the most important thing that has made me a great speaker, so I'm told, I still think I'm learning, is my desire for it. You got to want it, man. Some people are like, are you born an athlete? Well, no, the athlete wanted to be a good athlete. Desire is what pulls your mind towards something to learn. So no, I was not born this way. I grew up like most usual people in North America. I grew up getting bullied. So I grew a need and desire for safety and leadership because I wanted to, fight against that. I grew up confused because there's so many different angles I could have taken. So I had to learn how to get myself clear. I grew up in a dysfunctional family, so I saw a lot of conflict. So I grew a desire to want to help people solve problems. From my problems and my mess, I created my message, right? Your mess becomes your message. Your problems become your purpose. These are the things that develop me. It's through my life experiences and my decisions on how to handle them, not to run from them, not to avoid them, not to, deceive myself and think it's not there, more so confront them and say, how do I fix this? That's a great question to ask. How do I fix this? That molded my mind. That molded my skill sets, my talents. The things I have today are from a response to my life experiences, problems, and things I had to figure out. So no, I wasn't born this way. I was a joke. right? You have to learn this stuff. But the most important quality of someone who is good at something is the desire to want to be. Desire, not what's my personality. You know, I was a very hard person to focus in class. They tried to diagnose me as ADHD, right? Because I just didn't want to sit still. I didn't care. I wanted to talk to everyone. I was uninterested. There was no desire to learn that education. That's why I was that way. And if I followed what everyone else was telling me and what my current conditions were telling me, I'm like, I'm screwed. At best, I can be like, an actor or not even an actor, like a comedian, because all I know is how to make people laugh and just never pay attention, build any skills. I'm screwed if I base it off my current personality. I'm like, no. But it doesn't matter what I've done. What matters is what do I want, right? Because if I want something I have never done, I'll just learn. And I think the biggest myth, false belief, the biggest illusion people buy into is like, for some reason, they forget that they can learn anything. Learning is completely free. It's completely accessible, and it's open for anyone to do it. No one's cut off from learning something, especially today with the information age. So it's like anything I want to get good at, I will learn. I bought courses, I YouTubed, I practiced. All these things are free. Like, going out there and actually looking for things and putting them, plugging myself, and then I paid for stuff. I learned how to speak. I learned how to be confident. I learned how to develop myself. These things are learned. You're not born this way. Does that make sense?
Of course. Yeah. And I think that also ties into the whole idea of mindset. Is Armin had the desire and the mindset to, I want to become a great speaker. I think that's really for anyone who wants to learn how to public speak or just speak in general, as long as you have that desire, it's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's kind of what I'm understanding with what you're saying, where you had the desire because you got bullied or because you went through different hardship, whether it was your family or whatever. So you had this desire of, I want to be able to speak. And that's the first step to it. I think the next step of what Armin's getting at is finding that person, because I'm a big advocate in that. And, especially for a lot of people that, a lot of people are very independent. They think they can figure out everything on their own. And I think from what I understood from you and buying courses or just looking for the mentorship and help, and I know we're both big advocates in getting a mentor, that can really change your mindset. So, my next, real question for you, Armin, is, say I want to be a public speaker, and my mindset is messed up. And I want you to talk about this idea of, because I know your story a little bit deeper, but you also found people who spoke the way you wanted to, and they helped refine that mindset, right?
Oh, yeah,
so
100%.
I want you to kind of talk about that, because I think a lot of people, they want to public speak, but their mind isn't corrected or aligned with what they want to do, and they think they can do it on their own, when I just don't think that is the ultimate case.
Yeah, very good point. I didn't do this on my own. My learning process required me to model speakers that I like. So, to give an example, when I grew my desire to start running seminars, I actually went to Tony Robbins' seminar, and I was a client of his, and I was like, my life was changed. I walked out, I'm like, this is amazing. I want to do this for people. And all I did was obsessively learn everything about what he's teaching so I can teach it myself. So I picked up every book he had. I watched every YouTube video I could watch, probably thousands of hours at this point, on repeat. I'd take notes. I would mimic him. I'd model him. I legitimately copy his voice, copy his walk, copy his talk, copy everything I could to. I try to be him for like a good short period of time. That was my fast track way of modeling him. So I started to carry myself like him, walk like him, talk like him, everything. And then I started listening to Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn has this kind of way of speaking where he pulls his words. And I was like, yeah, I like that. I picked that up from him. And from Tony, I got the strength and aggressive, the passion when he speaks, and how he's funny and he does like really entertaining stuff. I picked these things up because I watched hours and hours and hours a day of content from these speakers. Now, if I went directly to them and they had a course I could buy to learn, I probably would have cut my 1 to 2 years of learning experience down to like 1 or 2 months. Because I tried to, for free, because I had no money then. I tried it for free to take it all off the internet, torrent things, I had no money. I tried to find courses and it was like such a waste of my time. Today, I would never do that. I would actually go and just spend a few $1,000s to learn. Like, why would I go and like waste a year of my life when I could have just done it in 2 months? It's perspective, but I didn't learn that back then. I wish someone told me that. And so all I did was consume all this content of these people. And I wouldn't just listen to what they said. I listened to how they said it. I listened to what they did when they said it. And I would look at their face, their body. And I got these role models, these pace setters, we call them. And I just started to role model them until I almost were perfectly acting like them. Now, some people go, but that's not authentic. It's not original. I know. I'm trying to be something I'm not. I'm not a great speaker yet. So I'm going to model a great speaker. That's inauthentic by technicality. It's also not real. It's not original. Of course. How do you think it all starts? The process of originality is simple. You first pick someone who's doing it well and you copy them to a T, modeling them to a T. Modeling meaning even if you have to be exactly like them just to get started. Then when you've got some momentum going because you're doing what works, now you find your own mojo. And that's what I did. I found my own stories, my own ways of doing things, the words I like to say instead of what Tony said and what Jim said and what Les Brown said. But it started somewhere. When I had no self-image, no identity, no confidence, I specifically started by getting one or two role models that I loved their speaking style and just listened. And then I try to say it like them. I try to act it out like them. Like Tony will be like, give up 5 hugs and 4 high fives and take a seat. You know, like he would say something like that in his seminars. Her would be like, whoa. And I'd watch him. I'd be like, whoa. Right? Jim Rohn would say, don't set a goal to make $1 million. Set a goal to be a millionaire. And I would like try to say it like him. And now I don't say it like him, but there's tendencies I've picked up over the years. And these tendencies are good things. Like I'm constructing my own identity from all the different things. And then I find my own version. By the time someone in an audience hears me speak, they're like, this is Armin. They don't know all the different parts I've taken and made a puzzle out of. Wow. So you need to get a teacher. If a teacher is the best form of learning, the next best thing to that, if you can't afford it, like I couldn't afford it, was just finding them online and learning everything about them obsessively, getting anything you can hands on them, just to learn to watch them. I watched so many interviews with Tony, all of his tiny little habits, the way little small things he did and like the movements he made. I picked it up like subconsciously until I started to feel like I'm Tony Robbins. And I started feeling like I'm Armin Robbins. Then I started feeling like I'm Armin. Then I started feeling like I'm Armin Shafee. Yeah. It was like this gradual growth and morphing, you know?
So modeling all these people started your mindset to start this belief in yourself until you could really find that identity to now you're just Armin Shafee. And, I'm very curious to even kind of add to that public speaking aspect. I don't know how many stages you've spoken on, but it has to be 200s of stages I would have to say thousands, if not 10,000s of people. Like you've run your own events where there's 200-300 people in a room. And, one of the biggest questions I have for you is, I don't know if you remember the first ever stage you spoke on, but if you can go back in time to that individual and talk to that younger version of Armin, just because there's a lot of people here at that stage of, they're getting their mindset corrected to go and speak. And I don't know if you can paint us a little picture of where you were back then, but what type of advice would you give them relating to public speaking mindset? What advice would you give that little Armin, that younger Armin, to have the proper mindset to go on stage?
So first ever time speaking, when I started on this journey of wanting to become a speaker, because I remember I used to be in a network marketing company and I would just speak at events, but I wasn't desiring to back then. Funny enough, can I actually get personal here?
Yeah.
Well, my first ever time speaking genuinely was in front of 2 people. It was in my mom's basement. And it was in front of 2 16-year-olds while I was 17, 18 years old. And I had someone very special standing next to me that was much like a mentor or a coach to me, who was trying to help me get my words out because I was very nervous because I had memorized a few slides of a presentation for this network marketing company I was in. And I was sitting in front of these 2 young guys and they were cheering me on like, yeah, man, you got to keep going. And I'm like, and I was stuttering my way through it because I was trying to think of what to say, but I was trying to say at the same time. And I was just trying to do everything at once and it was overwhelming. And I got embarrassed. I told him, I'm so sorry, guys. And I tried to give it to my friend, to my mentor over there. I'm like, listen, you do it. He goes, no, you got this. Just keep going. And I said, no, you do it. He goes, just one more slide. I'm like, all right, fine. And then the audience, the 2 people looked at me like, yo, you got this. Keep going. You're doing good. And I looked at the thing and I finished. And I got through it. And I felt really good about myself. This is my first ever time presenting something in front of an audience ever. Like I'm talking about high school like classes. I mean, like this first time I really tried. I prepared for something and I presented in front of an audience. There was only 2 people. I stuttered my way through it. And afterwards, I went to that mentor of mine and I said, thank you. You were here during my first ever memory of ever speaking in front of someone or an audience, 2 people. He goes, yeah, man, it'll be a great story one day. And it's really meaningful because that person was you, Daniel. That mentor was you, sitting next to me in my mom's basement as you were trying to, help me with speaking in front of these 2 people. And I still remember it. Mm-hmm. And if I were to ever go back and speak to that Armin, I would say do exactly what you're about to do. And just do it. Because I don't think I virtually did anything wrong. Because I got out there, put myself out there. See, a lot of people try to do something while trying to avoid the nervousness and the fear of doing it. But there's no way. The only way around fear is through it. There's no other opportunity, no other reality where I could have done that and not messed up and figured it out. And it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have you there next to me. So I don't know how many years ago that was. Fast forward today. I've spoken on stages in different countries, and it's crazy because it started with those 2 people in the basement with Daniel as my coach and mentor sitting next to me every step of the way, walking me through speaking. And so now I built a company. We've done over $1 million in sales, all from speaking on a stage and speaking on camera and speaking in front of webinars. And all of it started with me stuttering my way through 3 slides of a presentation in front of 2 people. So my biggest message would be just get it done faster. The faster you fail, the faster you move forward. The faster you fail, the faster you grow. Don't be afraid. Fear just prolongs it, never gets it done. But the faster I got myself in front of people and started practicing, the faster I get better. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And for everyone even watching, that's a very genuine story. That
you didn't even know I was gonna bring it up.
I'm like, is he gonna say it? That mentor? But one of the biggest things for a lot of people is like Armin is an example and an inspiration of what's possible. And a lot of people will look at you, Armin, and say, wow, man, like you're so good. I get this all the time. Daniel, you're so good. Like I want to speak just like you. Well, if you want to speak just like me, then you got to go through the same experiences that I went through. And especially if you're starting out, it's just doing it and understanding that it's probably going to be bad, or it's not that it's going to be bad, but it's probably not going to be great. And I always talk about this. The anxiety before the actual speech is the worst part. But once you actually do it and it's done, it's like this next level it's like you've leveled up in a video game. It's like, I did it. And a lot of people say, don't go through this. And then the other person who knows how to public speak but wants to get better, it's just knowing how to craft it even better and understanding the mindset and looking at guys like Armin and other people that they've been in my shoes and they've hit the type of goals that I want to achieve. And I love that. So whatever stage you're kind of at this, because I'm sure, and at the same time, and I kind of want to ask you this, do you ever have fear? Like all the places that you've been at, all the people that you've coached and trained, the amount of people that you've been, is there still a little voice in your head that, because if you guys don't know, Armin's done events where he's speaking for 12 hours in a day?
Yeah, 12 hours, 3 days. 3 days, 12-hour days.
12 hours, so 36 hours of speaking over 3 days. Or no, that does make sense.
It's about 36 hours, minus lunches, dinners, whatever.
So this is where he's gone from to who he is right now. And, and this is the idea is, and I know for myself, there's always that fear at the back of your head, but even for yourself, it's really what you're seeing right now, everyone who's watching this, is someone who's trained his mind to keep pushing through that fear. And it's almost like a dog, he's trained it to turn it off and just take the action. But if you want to add anything to that, Armin.
Have I ever had fear?
Even now.
Fear is a choice. So my answer is no, because now I know what it is. It's not real. Fear is a choice. See, fear is something I'm making up of something I'm worried about happening, right? The only time I have fear is if I'm worried about something bad happening. So when I used to, before I got on stage, I think like, what if I mess up? What if I blank? What if I this? All these what ifs are just fear because I'm choosing to focus on all the things that could go wrong. I'm like, what if I just change my thinking to what if this goes well? What if I remember everything? What if I even do better than I thought? Just a little tiny perspective change. Then the fear turns into excitement. But what is inevitable is nervousness when you're doing new things. But nervousness and fear are not the same thing. Some people think they feel the nerves in the stomach and the butterflies. That's fear. It's not fear. That's excitement. So yes, when I traveled and did a 2-week, 14-day tour, 4 different cities across Asia for my 3-day seminar, did I get nervous? Yeah, man. It was a whole new country, different people, whole new stage, different language. I had a translator. I had Tony Robbins' translator. Look at the full circle of life. I had Tony Robbins' translator charging $2,000 an hour to come and translate my words into Thai. Or was it Tibet? I don't even know. But I was in Thailand, whatever language they speak there. I would say something, he would say something. I would say something, he would say something. It was really funny because I would say something. I'm like, I know he's going to say it after. And I'm like, and now he's repeating what I'm saying. And he would be like, and I'm like, and so that's why he's going to, it's funny now because now he's just saying everything I'm saying. And he just said what I just said. And he was like, and everyone just started laughing because I was like, I was bouncing it back and forth with them. But was I nervous? Yeah. Was I afraid? No. Because fear is a choice. It's not necessary. Okay. But nervousness means, man, this is something new. And most people that are not successful in life, they'll look at things like nerves and they'll be like, no, this isn't right then. I don't feel good. And they run. And they think it's something bad. When really, when you feel those, it means you're doing something good. Right? No. Now, danger is something different. Some people think fear is the same as danger. It's not. Danger is like when you feel threatened by something in your environment. That's different. That's not fear. That's danger. It's caution. So fear is completely useless and unnecessary. And it's also choice. It's an option. Right? To think about, literally, fear is just worrying about what could go wrong. So no, I don't fill my mind with what can go wrong before I speak. Mm-hmm. I fill my mind with what I want it to look like. It's actually crazy because I learned from a famous speaker who wrote the 1 Minute Manager. And I forgot his name, man. He's Frank something. I don't remember his name. I used to teach this, but I haven't brought this up for over a year and a half. But he wrote the 1 Minute Manager. Frank, something, he's on the tip of my tongue, or Ben, super old guy. Right now he speaks. He's one of the greatest speakers I've seen ever speaking. Tony would study this guy to speak. And he said that prior to every speaking gig, every time he got on stage, he would close his eyes for a minute and just visualize the outcome of his talk. He'd visualize the audience, visualize himself, visualize everything that he wanted to look like. So he would start his talks with the end in mind. And because he was filling his mind with that, there's no room for fear. So he would go on stage and just now embody what he saw in his mind. So I picked that habit up. And so every time I've spoken, I've closed my eyes and I've only seen what I want to happen. Now the nerves might be there, but courage is a part of doing and acting in spite of nerves. And so that's something else that builds in you. So no, I don't get afraid, but I do get nervous when I'm doing new things. Now, if I'm doing a whole nother 3-day seminar and I've done this several times, no, I don't get afraid or nervous because it's like repeat for me. But that's when you become a master of something because it's unconscious at this point. So that's my answer, at least.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm getting a lot of tips and a lot of just breakthroughs from my end. And I'm sure everyone who's watching this right now is either inspired, is either learned some new things, because these are basics. But if you truly apply it, I want you to understand, like when Armin used to talk about this stuff, it was probably theory back in the day. But now, like, if you guys get this, he's spoken all around the world. He sold $1 million of coaching programs. Like Armin has taken, it's not just theory, it's real stuff. So when you're listening to him, just understand he's talking from a successful point of view. And we won't talk about financials like of exactly what you do, but it will definitely inspire you. Now, as we kind of wrap up this interview right now, Armin, I think we've talked a lot about mindset, about fear, and about the journey of yourself. Now, as we kind of end this, is there anything that you kind of want to add to everyone watching, whether they're at a journey where they're just, they're at a point where they don't really believe in themselves yet and they want to start public speaking, or other people where they have a voice, they kind of know themselves, but they want to get to the next level, maybe grow a business like you, or, speak on platforms with tens of thousands of people, and they want to get to that next level, like Tony Robbins. What advice would you have for them before we kind of end the call right now, or end the interview?
Get a teacher. There's no great athlete, artist, fighter, writer, actor ever became who they are that we know of today from around the world without great mentorship and teaching. So if you're serious about it, For the serious ones watching, if you're serious about doing this, you get a serious teacher, because that's the way you tell your subconscious mind that you're serious, by investing time, energy, money, and commitment to somebody to teach you. Number one. If you're watching this, it's more of like, hey, I'd like to do this, but it's not a serious like purpose of mine in life. Then the message is quite simple. Do something. Even being here is doing something, but do something right after this. That's more. And just realize that doing with the possibility of success or failure is the only way to do this. There's no way you're going to do it without it being a possibility that there's no failure. So don't try to avoid failure or mistakes. The faster you do it, the faster you get through it. The faster you do it, the faster you get through it. That's a really good line. So doing something is is the only first step of any person. Doing something, if you're just trying to do it. But remember this, I'll end it off with a quote from Napoleon Hill, a student of Think and Grow Rich, and he says this, and I love it. He goes, see, the world will forgive you. The world can forgive you if you make a mistake. But the world cannot forgive you if you do nothing, because they would have never heard about you. So, moral of the story, if you do nothing, you ultimately become a failure anyways. But by doing something, at least there's a chance for success. So act on it.
Boom. That's amazing. Well, thank you, Armin Shafee. I appreciate it. I'm sure the audience appreciates this interview. Thank you so much for inspiring me and sharing, just light and inspiration and showing others what's possible, going through hard times and pushing through it. And, creating the type of story that you have is really how you've designed the life that you have. Hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows
Nope.
for you. And that's why you are able to speak the way you do, with the confidence and the conviction. So with that being said, thank you so much, Armin Shafee. My name is Daniel Francis. Again, this is the 30-day Speaker Summit. I hope you're all enjoying this. As well, there is a bonus interview that you can watch with me and Armin in the All Access Pass. You need to upgrade for that. So if you want to check it out, be sure to sign up for the All Access Pass in the membership area. But with that being said, thank you again, Armin, and we'll see you guys later.